Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Habitat Update, the podcast about entrepreneurs and Japan, based in and focusing on a little bit the Kansai area with the cities of Kobe, Kyoto, Osaka, and so on. Posting every 2 weeks as a video on YouTube and as an audio-only version on iTunes and SoundCloud. The SoundCloud podcasts, I always delete the latest one just because I'm using the free service. But if you want to see all episodes, just download them or go to YouTube. There you have all of them, and that's why we post the video version, one of the reasons. My name is Tugi, and here today with me, Joe, straight from Ecuador, where you speak Mexican. Hi Joe, thank you for joining me.
Hi Tugi.
Well, please tell us a little bit about you. How come you're here? How come I just made this stupid joke with Mexican and...
That was my joke first, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So besides speaking Mexican, I came to Japan to study business. I was studying business in Tokyo.
Okay.
And many reasons. I just loved Japan since I was a kid. And the other thing is that the way people do business here is different from the Western world. So I really wanted to get involved with this way of management. That it has to do a lot with how the mentality or the spirituality and all the thing of being Japanese. So I want to experience that.
And you have business experience, like you have something to compare to, right? So,
of course, because I've been living in the Western side of the world for a long time.
yeah.
So I really wanted to get a first-hand touch of how the Japanese thing feels like.
The Japanese thing feels like, yeah. In terms of specific areas or just the general look? Or were you looking for something like entrepreneurship or like
business management?
Okay.
A lot to do with how to manage the stakeholders, especially how to manage your customers, how people care about customers here, and how they care about employees.
Yes.
That sometimes that might be really a challenge for companies here, but in certain way it's also very human somehow. So I wanted to get a vision of that, like a very internal vision of that.
And how so you're almost at the end of your stay in Japan, right?
Yes.
What's your feeling? What were your expectations? How's the outcome, and what kind of activities were you involved in?
So surpassed my expectations.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't expect that much. Like the learning from school, like I was in business school for 1 year in Tokyo, and it was very interesting the approach they used in topics, basically everything that has to do with ethical business, about social entrepreneurship. It was very focusing on that kind of, and having a purpose behind what you're doing. I mean,
yes.
Not like the doing business for the sake of business, for the sake of your IPOs and your shareholders, but actually
money.
Basically, but more a purposeful thing, like do something with your life, be ethical in what you're doing, and try to give back something to the society. I mean, it's just not about money.
That's cool. So I have a similar feeling. So do you think, and I guess I think I know you have more experience than me globally. You think it's really a thing here? Like I feel like people are more after the purpose and not after the money. And I see the rest of the world is a bit more different. But what does it mean, the rest of the world? Have you seen similar movements or ideologies somewhere else before?
I think so. I know Japan is struggling a lot in terms of economic issues, and a lot of that has to do with how they do things here. But for me, it's not entirely wrong. The thing is that the rest of the world it's going in a different direction. And when I say the different world, I mean the United States.
Yeah, it's the common, yeah.
That intense capitalist. But you also have another kind of examples like Japan that are doing a little bit better. Like, I don't know, Denmark, Netherlands, Norway, Sweden. Those are very, I would say, not socialist, but people that care not just about money. It's not just a super strong capitalism. So I think that would be a little bit of the direction that I want to learn, because I'm an entrepreneur myself back at home, and I was struggling with this issue of, okay, why am I doing this? I mean, the money is just, it does not make you happy at all.
Well,
at all.
Yeah.
So like your business start working, and then yes, but and then what? I mean,
what's
what do I do
next?
with it?
So what do you do? What do you do then actually? Yeah, like back at home.
I'm an environmental engineer, and 6 years ago, I created electronic waste recycling.
Electronic waste.
To
Cool.
recycle. It was the first one in home, and yeah, since then on, I've been doing that. But after 6 years, 7 years of doing it, then you start wondering like,
What else is there?
okay, is this really good? I mean, am I doing all that I can?
Have you seen anything from here, like maybe in Japan, you can take back home or improve or help you then with your?
Sure, it's more about the mentality and how they do things.
Okay.
That in terms of technology, because we are very far apart in terms of technology, but it's more in the way people do things here and how they behave and how they think and how they treat each other.
It is a different world, yeah. Yes. And well, by the way, if anyone is wondering, this is a little bit louder here because we're here in the Kyoto Makers Garage. We always speak about it in the show in the past episodes. Sabrina doing marketing
Finally.
all the time. Joe meets Kyoto Makers Garage. How did that happen? What did you do here? And how were you involved? Yeah, how was that time? How was the time?
So after starting business in Tokyo,
Yes.
I wanted to do something with that. And I always wanted to be part of the entrepreneurship arena in Japan. So I figured out that a co-working space / accelerator would be a good way. So I moved to Kyoto, and then I was in charge of developing the business plan and the operational plan for the co-working space for Kyoto Makers Garage.
How, real quick, sorry, how did you find the place? Like,
Oh, okay. So I was doing a lot of networking. Like going in Tokyo, I would go to every single event of entrepreneurship. Like I met Makers Bootcamp in Slash.
oh, I see, already back in.
Yes, that which was a year ago or so.
Yeah, I was volunteering there.
I did not see you.
Yeah, I was busy.
So I went to the booth, like, I'm studying here and I really like to do an internship. And they were like, yeah, but I don't think we have internships. And I was like, yeah, but you can figure out something.
Okay.
And at the end, we were talking like, okay, what you can do, what we need. And we figured an internship for me. That is how I moved to Kyoto.
Okay, that was part of the
Yes.
reason, and also
Yes.
because Kyoto is awesome.
Oh, because of course. And
You have to see it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I came and started working on all that.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the business model and everything, it's doing events, because what we're trying here is to build a community. So we are not a shared office space. We
Yes.
are more like a community center. We want to be the hub of makers and artists and business people, to make them come together, to get to know each other, to interact. So as a way of being a boil place of new projects.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense.
Ideally.
The place where people meet, exchange, and create, and you have actually space and opportunities, and you see a little bit in the video right here is the space with the machines, right? So, and soon there will be also like manuals and potentially videos, and so it's open for everyone actually, like, and everyone can join and do things. And you
And
mentioned
the events, it's very huge part of that, because we are a new space.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship is really new in Japan. It's a baby steps.
Yes.
And people need a lot of encouragement, a lot of inspiration, and so we're trying to work a lot on events, trying to make people, successful people and not successful people, to come and share their stories, to encourage others, to try to break that wall that we have here with entrepreneurs. So for instance, last Friday we have service design event, which was the first one, like super interesting thing. We had a lot of people, most foreigners, but we're going.
It's not a bad thing, but service design is, I think it's a global thing. I didn't know there was a service design kind of like a big event in Hong Kong recently. That this is a little bit like an idea to be part of that, and one of the members here actually organized and run it, right? She's herself German user experience
She's
designer.
a service designer, and so she had this idea of Japan is a good place to make it, but yet they don't know they need it. So she
that makes sense.
a month ago or so, she created Kansai, the Kansai network of service designers for people, and we organized the event here. It was a very interesting, interactive, very...
It was a workshop,
it was,
more or less.
Yes.
Okay, so it was not just lecture or seminar, but it was actually hands-on.
And it's not was either a meetup where you just come up and chat, but it was very... so we taught something, and then we give examples like a case study, and then we do a hands-on thing so people get to get some knowledge to bring back home, right? Because that is the idea at the end.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
to have something.
It's good to listen to people sometimes, but then if you can apply what you just learned or heard, even in basic, in a basic way, like you maybe you discover a new passion, and then you continue with that. But well, yeah, that's great. Now let's make a segue.
We plan a seed. We already plan a little seed in people's mind, like, oh, this service design thing might be interesting. Blah, blah.
Yeah, and you planted now the segue. You planted the seed in my head with the events. So. It's the first time here, but so let's jump into the section. I talk about recent events and upcoming events. Past events, so we had a service design event here at Kyoto Makers Garage. I couldn't join, I would have loved to join, but at the same time we had the Hacker News Kansai event in Kyoto. That was also very interesting. I like these meetups because you have basically people talking about tech, entrepreneurship interested people meeting entrepreneurship interested people, and I've just recently met a startup who actually both founders met there during these Hacker News Kansai events, and that was very interesting. And actually Sabrina presented Kyoto Makers Garage during that event. It was very cool. This time it was in Kyoto, in the headquarters, in the office of NOTA behind services like Gyazo and Scrapbox, online services. Look them up, I might link them in the description. After that, well, I haven't been to many other. One big event we've been to, Kansai me and Sabrina, was the Kansai Summit 2017 by the Japan Association of New Economy, or as they call themselves, well, sexy, Jane. And that was a short but interesting event. One of the main speakers was Libin, the long-time CEO of Evernote, the app, the elephant.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Now he has like his new company. It's called All Turtles. He's the co-founder and CEO. All Turtles is a artificial intelligence, studio they call themselves. It's kind of like an incubator, but not really an incubator with mentors and everything. But it's a closed incubator with fixed employees who develop products together with like early startups or with ideas they bring.
Okay.
So it's more like, it feels a little bit like a corporate internal research entrepreneurship thing. So it's a closed, still somewhat open, but sounds very interesting. They have offices in Silicon Valley, of course, in Paris, and one in Tokyo. And they are, I guess, recruiting or just about to open up, and looking forward to hear more from them. The rest of the event was also very interesting. Talked about shared economy, and then we had some presentations from universities around here talking about biology. It was a little bit too much at once for me in such a short time. Rather like if you have an overarching topic and so people present and talk about that. Right? But it was still cool to see. I hope to see more of these events. Then that was it actually. Have you been to anything special around here then?
No.
Not really.
Not this weekend.
Let's look forward. So what do we have upcoming next week? Oh, actually, depending on when I post it, So if I post it tomorrow, it will be today. We have the Kyoto Indie Meetup, November 2nd on
Yes.
Thursday. Meetup of independent game developers or just game lovers to present ongoing projects and just meet like-minded people. The weekend, on Saturday, we have the PechaKucha night meets Seeds of Sustainability, a sustainability movement here in Kyoto, Kansai in general. That sounds interesting. Yeah, so you're excited for it. You want to go?
Yeah, because
join?
I actually wanted to be a speaker, but I was late. for
Ah,
the
it's a bit kind of like your
It
field,
was
eh?
my thing, but I was late.
Yeah, but that's they just started now, multiple events, and let's see where that goes. What else we have on Monday, November 6th? We have the 500 Kobe 500 startups Kobe Accelerator report exchange event. So the program of 500 startups in Kobe finished, and they'll just present the results and so on. We have on November 8th the monthly Osaka Makers Meetup, Meetup of Makers. Also in Osaka, there's a meetup called First Time Coders. I've been to one, I couldn't join any others so far. Is one guy basically from the States, Steve O'Brien, he's called, and he's teaching or supporting people who want to get into JavaScript. And he's there, he's meetup very casual in a cafe. He gives tutorials and he's there just to answer questions and show how things
I
work.
actually last week went to another event in Osaka as well.
Similar.
It was basically entrepreneurs, like
Okay.
very informal in another co-working space. And it was interesting to know that were a lot of girls entrepreneurs.
Okay,
Yes, Japanese girls.
what was it about?
Just talking about the difficulties of being an entrepreneur in Japan
Okay,
and how they are interacting with and using foreigners to help them do their business.
and it was in English.
Yes,
You have to send me that. Find out, please.
I will. Very interesting because there were like 3 girls, which was almost half of the people.
Okay, and that's actually, I mean, it's a worldwide issue, right? But like even more so here, the ladies are not so much interested in entrepreneurship, even less than the men here in Japan.
That is why I found it
Students.
super interesting.
Yeah,
and
that's
they were
cool.
like very chatty and they knew a lot about business and things like that.
That's amazing. We need more of that. Yeah,
I will let you know.
I should join this event. Yeah, cool. November 9th, it's a Thursday. We have a GVH meetup. We call it Bridging Japan, Singapore, and the rest of Asia. It's with the CEO founder of WASABI Creation, Tong-san. I mentioned, I guess, in the last event, last episode already. However, it's gonna be interesting. We might held it in Japanese, but he's fluent, I guess, in both languages. Not I guess, I know. I mean, he lives in Singapore. He used to live in Kyoto. So I asked him to maybe do like a mixed language thing so everyone can follow and then speak to him in what language you prefer. Another event I found, there's a Startup Weekend Osaka pre-event on November 12th. Whatever that means. But go check it out if you're around and interested. November 15th, Wednesday, here at the Kyoto Makers Garage, we have the next
week.
Monozukuri Hub Meetup. You know more about it?
Yes, we're going to be talking about how startups can have a big key role in, again, finding purposeful projects, like something with trying to develop projects that solve real issues, not just meaningful things.
Yeah, makes sense. No, yeah, it's called key role of startups solving real problems.
Real problems.
And I would love to see more of that myself.
Meaningful things.
I have a similar mindset. I agree there. Then a little bit further outlook, we have on November 20th, you can mark that day for the Compass Career Directions in Osaka event. Topic, work in Japan as foreigner. There's been an event before with the same name, and it's about connecting foreigners with companies here, facilitating basically positions, jobs.
How does that work?
Not sure. They just started out finding it out. They have some. I met, and I'm kind of like supporting the organizers, the team there, and they have some interesting ideas. We'll do all we can to push it forward to help foreigners coming to Japan. And of course, what I always mentioned a couple times is the Osaka event. Well, the registration just closed. It was until October 31st. So, well, look forward to February 2018 for the event then. That's more or less what I could found, at least in English. I focus a little bit on the English content because that's what interests me. And with that, we can continue with the. You were talking like, so you've been here, you came here to study, but then also learn a bit about entrepreneurship. And what were your initial ideas? What was it? How do you plan that? Like, how did you think yourself like, that's what I want to get out of it? Or did you have any idea or any goals, or
So
this is just developed just like that?
yeah, you know, most of the time, I feel like the feeling that I have is that things just happen to me. But when I stop a while and think back, I actually start doing all things and make it happen. So some point in time, I knew that when I go back home, I want to get involved with entrepreneurs, and I would like to teach entrepreneurship at some point. So I start building my network and everything here in Japan to learn, to meet people, to meet investors, to meet accelerators, because at one point I want to make the connection between Japan and Ecuador in that sense.
I see.
So I think you really need to have a vision, and from that on, you start building all the way to where you are. So definitely, yes, I mean, even though sometimes it doesn't look structured, you definitely need long-term vision, maybe a dream.
Yeah.
And then, okay, now I'm here. What can I do now to make that happen and be really, really proactive?
I like that approach.
The things.
Yeah, no, makes sense.
Go out.
Happened to me similar. Like, there are some people, and sometimes even I do it. Like, you try to plan too much, like every detail, and then you start getting like frustrated because I couldn't make it to that. I couldn't make I'm screwed. But as you said, I think it's good to have a long-term vision, like an idea of what you want. You wanted to learn more about business in Japan, how it works, and maybe connect to Ecuador. And then you proactively go to different places,
Just do it.
make the best out of it, and you never know where you might end up.
Yes.
Maybe in the Kyoto maker's garage.
That is how it happened, yes. It's not too much about planning, like, okay, this month I have to do this, and then I have to...
Yeah.
But it's more of a big thing, and then just go out and see where your things are taking you to.
Any now you mentioned you've been to the slush event, for instance. Any other useful places, or you see like organizations or events you come across, like not necessarily here, but general meetups?
Generally meetups with entrepreneurs, with investors. It was a bit hard because I don't speak Japanese.
Yeah.
So the amount of events I can attend were reduced to at least half of the ones that were just in English. But it's basically, I don't think Japanese people are too difficult or too different, but it's just a matter of a communication and understanding. And for me, that was good, like being upfront, like, I need this, I want this, I can offer. Good thing, I can offer you this. This is what I know, this is what I can help you with. Let me know if it works for you.
Yeah, this I think is a good advice, because I know people, they come here and like, hey, I want to help, tell me what to do.
Yes.
Like, I want to help. And then it's the same situation for both. So
yes,
if no one knows how and where and what to help with, like, then it doesn't advance. So you can say, I can do this. Can I help with this?
Yes.
If the first one says no, you go to someone else. You never know who might need your service or help. And I like that idea that the general approach of a little bit like just to wanting to help.
Yeah.
Without an outcome necessarily. Or are you like, you're not, no, you mentioned it, like, you're not necessarily like, you're more purpose driven, you said.
Yes. For me, it was a learning. I need to learn.
Yeah, that was your best, the reward in that sense, yeah. I see.
And I got a lot of opportunities to work with the startups, work with design companies, marketing companies, with Maker's Garage. Just of going out and telling people, I know this.
This is cool.
How can I help you? And either small internships or maybe a month or 2 months or maybe just weeks. But those things are very rich because of the connections you make, the little things you learn. You will meet a lot more people while you're there. So it's really valuable as long as you know how to approach everything that's happening.
Well, that's what you learn. Learning by doing. You can you can build theories in your head back home on your in front of the TV, but if you never go out and actually do it, it's with so many things to say, right?
So for me, it has been a really good experience. As a general message, it would be something like just be super humble, just be super helpful, and very open and willing just to give.
Thank you. Yes.
That takes you very far. I mean, yeah.
Don't always have like certain benefits in mind. Just try to help. While you help the others and your surroundings, the ecosystem, at some point it will get back to you. As you
super good, exactly. Yeah. You just sit. I mean, put a little seat here and help people here, and they are super glad, and they see how good you can be. And they will help you like, oh, you can also do this, and I will introduce you to this. And so for me, it has been great.
Good. Thank you very much. So you have been putting seeds here in many minds, I hope, and it will.
I think so.
And it will resonate
Hopefully.
long after you.
I'm gone.
I'm sure you're thinking about coming back, no?
Yeah, I will, for sure.
That's good. Looking forward to that. I guess with that, if you have anything to say, we're coming to an end. I have one section, I call it Habitat Echo. The echo from the Habitat. Reader mails, reader content, questions, I don't know, job postings, or if you are a foreigner just arrived here listening to this, like, hey, help me. So far, nothing. But I'm looking forward. I'm positive.
Okay.
Everyone can approach me. And in case anyone wants to maybe reach out to you, what would be the easiest way to contact? Are you like on Twitter or email?
Or Facebook?
Okay.
You can put it.
I can put you can tell me there. And yes. And me, you reach via the email I have in the descriptions. It's HabitatUpdate@gmail.com. Or I'm also on Facebook and maybe ideally also Twitter @Günes. That's Guenest. Sounds Spanish, no? Mexican.
Sounds Mexican.
Sounds Mexican. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. This has been... Arigatou gozaimasu. Has been Habitat Update episode 7. The podcast about entrepreneurs and Japan, based in and focusing on the Kansai area with the cities. What is around here?
Kobe, Kyoto, and Osaka.
And many more.
And all the rest.
That's the three, at least the ones we know. This podcast goes live as a video on YouTube and as an audio only version on SoundCloud and iTunes every 2 weeks towards the end of the week. Thank you very much and looking forward to see you again.